Hey friends, so as part of this series we are discussing about the Django model in depth. So we're going to continue same thing. I'm pretty much using the Django documentation itself for a reference. So obviously you can have a look on this URL. As we are using 2.2 version as part of this tutorial, I'm stick with this 2.2 documentation itself. So in case if you're using different version, then you can choose the respective version in the URL. It will take you to that respective document. So as part of this continuation, we learned about the verbose field and related query name, and we're gonna discuss about the relationship. So before jump into the many to one relationship, I want to discuss about the many to many relationship. So because most of the people they requested to discuss on this topic first. Okay, let's let's play around with this concept, and the way I want to take it forward. Just want to uh, check the documentation examples, and we'll compare and we'll try to implement with our the blog post app itself. But but if you want to have a more way of implementing all the concept we are what we are learning today, that is that is also available in the documentation itself. I'm gonna take this documentation for reference. I'm gonna uh, execute all this statement, and we'll try to understand each and execute each statement what it is doing. Then we can correlate once you start building the actual project itself. Once we completed the model tutorial, we'll try to create a new project, or if you want to talk about the other areas like views, forms, will based on that decision, will take our route, guys. So as part of this series, I'm pretty much using the Django documentation for reference, and I'm gonna take all this example here. I'm gonna execute with our current situation, what we have in our app. Okay, what is many to many? So some situation, right? We have to design our data model or design our database to having the correlation between two tables. When I say correlation, for example, uh, one is if you take this example, right? If pizza has multiple topping, right? Obviously, if you take any pizza, chicken pizza or vegetarian pizza, on the toppings nothing but the capsicum and mushroom, those, right? So one pizza can have many n number of toppings, right? So I want to map this pizza, whether this pizza have how many toppings, right? Basically, if I take the pizza, vegetarian pizza, what what and all toppings have this for this respective pizza, right? So each respective order, users they want different toppings for the given pizza object itself, right? So based on that, we have to design our object relationship mapping and come up with our own idea, okay, how these two tables has to be correlate, and then we will take a decision whether we need many to many or we need a foreign key or something kind of stuff. When does it foreign key is required? If the one object it belongs to one, then it is foreign key. What does it mean is, if you take the existing diagram, if you take the order, one order belongs to one client or one customer, right? But the customer might have many orders, right? But if you traverse from orders, the orders should have one customer, right? In this situation, we need to take a route of foreign key in my orders table, right? I cannot have many to many field in my orders table because one order cannot have many customers, right? But if you think about in this direction, one customer can have many orders, right? So I can have many to many field in customer table also, but this is obviously it is not an right requirement to do in between the orders versus customers table. But sometimes people also will take that route to go with a many to many field. If I want to know my, hey, this customer how many orders he placed, uh, obviously you can do with a count of customer orders that can do, or also you can do by many to many field logic, right? So that is all about the many to many. My one model has dependent on many objects itself, that is called many to many. So in our situation, if you take pizza, the pizza can have n number of toppings, so I can choose the toppings itself, right? We will see in live in action with this example, and then we will jump into our blog post example, right? That is more pizza also is more realistic project, because many pizza companies they might have this kind of Django running server, but as we are seeing in Django documentation, they are having this pizza as an example. We'll try to go with first pizza example, and then we'll extend our blog post model. And you may ask, hey, one toppings can have in multiple pizza, right? But that is not, people will not if you think about toppings can have multiple pizza, yes, you can go by that route also, but that is not, doesn't make sense when you think about real-time situation or scenario, right? uh, you usually always, hey, for this pizza put these toppings. We cannot say for these many toppings put one pizza, right? So that is what they are mentioning here. Generally, many to many field instance should go in the object that's going to be edited in a form. In example, toppings is in pizza rather than topping have a pizza mini field, because it's more natural to think about pizza having toppings than topping beyond multiple pizzas, right? That is more realistic situation. We have to think whether my model does require many to many, or does require foreign key, or does require many to one. So you I would suggest always just take a paper, and if you want to do some real-time project, just have a note and pen and design your the ORM, right? The ORM means the first video we discussed about, right? Object relation mapping. And then decide, okay, this model, I want to have this many information. Based on that, start doing all your development accordingly. That is always I used to do in that approach. Okay, and we are, this has many way, but this video will just stick with many to many itself, and next video will talk about the how we can travel via from one table to other table using this many to many field itself. Okay, now let's take this an example. I want to have toppings and pizza, right? So I'm gonna go with the Django model right now for testing. So documentation example for testing. Let's assume this is my toppings and this is my pizza. So toppings, I would say, uh, what kind of topping? Maybe say toppings or top name or something like that. You can give your own name, and then you have to choose models dot char field. You say max length equal to 10, default, let's say blank equal to true, null equal to true, and blank equal to true. I hope you, if you watch this video directly, I hope you guys understand about null versus blank. If you're not, just take a look on the previous video which we had discussed about null versus blank in detail over there. Okay, now we added the topping, right? So the field type, as we know, we have the beautiful Dunder Python object, and I would say self return self dot top name, and I'm just having my toppings and models, and this inherit from or the basically which model. So the syntax should be models and many to many field, and you had to provide what model you want to use this, right? So in my case, I want to use topping as the documentation that I given as an example like this, right? So we can stick with this for time being, and we'll play around with our post model itself. Okay, after we added, what we have next step? We have to do add our new model in admin page, admin file, so that we can have a take a look on Django administration web page. We can directly create our post or create our object directly over that. That's the reason we want to add models here and pizza. Right? These are the two new model which we have added. So, and then I need to register that. And sorry, register pizza and admin site dot register topping. Okay, since we changed something created on models.py, what we have to do, we have to run our migration. It's register. So I'm going to make migration. Okay, and migrate block. This is something I have played around in previously, guys. That is the reason I was showing a deleted model, but that is different. We'll see what I was checking about the add favorite. Okay, got stuck, got stuck. Come on. Okay, what I'll do is, since we are using MySQL database, I don't want to, it got interrupted, right? Maybe I can delete my all migration file and now I want to do the make migration, fresh migration. Okay, then migrate block. Since it doesn't happen, I have to go for that fake option. I this we already discussed, right? So this will create the fake migration for our blog, and then I have to run my migration. Okay, it was causing issue. I cannot create. So let me delete this for a minute, guys. Uh, drop this table, drop table block topping. Basically, I my blog got interrupted, so that's the reason I'm trying to delete all my existing stuff, guys. Blog post, okay, and then um, blog pizza topping. Is the only way we can drop the table or only way we can do this migration back? No, always you can remove that. You can still play around with the fake migration itself, but I personally like to do in a backend SQL itself so that I can have my clean, neat migration from the beginning, from the scratch. That's why I used to prefer to do everything in the database itself. But it's up to you guys. You can do all this fake migration again and you can start everything from scratch. Okay, drop. This is dependent on some other project, some other table. So drop table block pizza. Right, let me refresh this object. So 1, 2, 3, and if I run this, nothing. So I run this, also throwing in error. What is causing issue? Okay, I have to delete pizza toppings, and then pizza, and then this one. Okay, if I refresh my object here, now I don't see anything. I have to delete my Django migrations tables. Again, this is not mandatory, guys. It's you can play around with a fake migration, but I usually prefer to go by this option. Django migrations, and since this is a DML, I have to go with commit. Okay, now we have a clean database. Now I can do my migration from scratch. Let me clear my screen. If I do make migration, it will create all my models and then it will do the migration from the blog itself. Okay, now we created the table, right? Or models. If I refresh my table, see, and I have, this is our old model that we are discussing, but forget about this model for time being. for this many-to-many field topic, we are discussing about only these two model, right? One is topping and pizza. So what should I expect in my database is it should have two tables, right? But if you go back to your database and your schema, what I'm seeing is it is having three tables, one with block underscore topping. Yes, it's there. So I should expect block topping and block pizza. Yes, block pizza also there. And there is one more table called block pizza toppings. What is that? Okay, that is all about the many to many field. In case if your data or in your model, if you have a many to many field, by default, Django will create the new separate table to have a bridge between these two model itself. What does it mean is it cannot Django will not keep all the information in the pizza model itself. Rather, it will create it pizza underscore topping, and there it will hold all our mapping information about this many to many model itself. What does it mean is if I select star from block topping, which is our topping, I see top name. Yes, it's there. This is primary key. I hope you understand about, you already aware about this ID. If not, take a look on our Django models from the beginning. You might get understand about all this ID, auto primary key, all about that. Okay, now if I looking for the block pizza, I though I have toppings field type or field name, but I don't see that, right? It has only that ID. What is happening? Okay, let's take a look. What is there in the pizza toppings table? This table has our pizza ID and it has topping ID. So basically, this table which will hold foreign key of these two table here will I I mean at the moment it little bit confused, but once we start seeing the data, you could be able to correlate what is foreign key with this Django many to many field, how it is inserting the data and how it is mapping the data in the table itself. We'll see in a couple of minutes, guys. Okay, so but understanding the concept is of many to many. If you have many to many field in your model, by default Django will create new separate table and which will hold all the foreign key relation between those two models. So please make sure those concept. Okay, now let's run our server and we'll play around something in our web page or the Django admin page. So I'm running my server. If I refresh my admin URL, I should see now post and toppings, right? Sorry, pizza and toppings. Let's add toppings first because that is the main field, right? Let me add my toppings called mushroom. It's one topping and another topping. Let me add the bell pepper. I like bell pepper, guys. So this is a 10 length character, right? That's why it is not allowing to add more characters. Let me stick with bell pepper. So we have um, let me add another called red chili something. So we to have three toppings, right? Now let me try to create a new pizza. So we'll take a look how the toppings table look like. If I look toppings, right? Topping. I should see three new primary key records with these three toppings. Now I want to have my pizza name, right? Let's say pizza name, something like you can give whatever you want. I'm just trying to play around with this, guys. So max length, um, maybe 20. Since we change something, I'm also adding the gesture object so that I can see what the object itself. So you can do the make migration since you changed, added a new column, and I want to say by default should be vegetarian pizza, and migrate block and run server. If I refresh, okay, I have to provide my pizza name, vegetarian one, because we have only vegetarian stuff, right? So I'm just giving vegetarian one pizza name, and I want to have toppings for this. Actually, this is not a right option. Having pizza in topping in the same model. Obviously, you should have order. Take order model. Order model will have this topping relation between the pizza and order. But for time being, I'm just giving an example how the many-to-many model looks like. That's the reason I'm just having the pizza name with this static pizza with the static toppings itself. Okay, let's have this vegetarian pizza only have mushroom and red chili. So if you see, I do have an option to select multiple values, right? That is the useful use case for having the many to many field itself. So now if I save my pizza, now my vegetarian one pizza object has been created. Now if I go and take a look on select start from blog underscore my pizza, and if I execute, have vegetarian one, right? Pizza name. But where is my toppings? So as I mentioned, all these two relation between these two models will be stored on the other table called pizza toppings, right? That is, I mentioned that is will store only the foreign key information about these two data model or two tables, right? Let's take a look what actually looks like. Pizza underscore toppings. If I run this, what I'm seeing, it's unique ID and pizza ID. Pizza ID is nothing but this vegetarian pizza, the one, whatever you're seeing in the URL, that is here, because we have only one pizza so far. But I do have two toppings for this pizza, right? 1 and 3. This 1 and 3 is coming from where? Toppings model, right? If you go back to my toppings model, if I click my mushroom, it will route to my one ID that is called mushroom. And third one which is called red chili, right? That is here. If I join these two table with these two table, then I could able to get all detail in a single row called, hey, this vegetarian pizza which you have, what kind of what and all toppings is available for this vegetarian pizza. I can able to simply get the data in in select, I mean in SQL statement. It is very easy. So but how we can able to fetch this kind of information in Django, right? Because eventually, once you started writing the views or forms or template, you have to read the data from database, and you have to render the data and show the data in your front end application, right? That is all about the front end developer required. So as a backend developer, it's easy for him to do the data analysis on top of the data has been stored. They can do data forecasting, machine learning. I mean, so obviously they can do all kind of data analytical related stuff once you have a data in the place. But how we can retrieve, how we can play around the data in Django, that is the $1,000 question, right? Now we'll gonna take a look how it's actually is going to looks like in our Django shell. But I hope it little bit understand about how the Django many-to-many field is storing in database, how we can create the many-to-many field like this field type, and how we can use that model. And let me quickly create one more pizza called pizza 2, sorry, which 2, this time I want to choose only bell pepper. Save, I have which 2. If I execute my pizza topping, what should I expect? I should expect ID 3, pizza ID should be 2, and topping ID should be 2, right? Let's take a look in action. Yes, as we thought, it's exactly same as what we expected, right? So it's awesome to Django is an really a super framework to develop our skill, as also to play around with all our knowledge itself, right? So okay, let's move on. Now I'm going to bring this back to my. So let's take a look on our current the blog app concept itself, right? So let's think about, we already created a post. Let's we the idea behind of this app called, we'll have a blog website, and users can log in, they can create the post, and they can like the other post, or they can add to favorite their their post in their profile, so that they will refer in future, hey, this post have been added to my favorite list, so I want to see what are all my favorite posts which I added earlier. I can take a look again, right? That is super easy. Think about the Twitter or Facebook, right? You may click the somebody posted something, you click that post, or somebody posted something and you retweeted that post, right? And you can add the post itself in your add to favorite list, so you can refer later, so that you can no need to scroll the entire Twitter again, right? So that is overall concept here. We have a web page, blog page, and we're gonna grant access to all other users to create a post. Also, we grant access to all the users to like other posts, or they can have an option to add to favorite their um, favorite post, or favorite post in their profile list. So in order to achieve that, I'm thinking to introduce use this many to many field for an add favorite table or model. What does that mean is, this I'm already created, but I'm gonna rewrite. There's always better practice to rewrite. Add favorite models dot model, and so what basically we need to say this. I added this user added this post as an in his or her uh, favorite list, so that admin can able to see, hey, I want to see the user A is added any favorite post in his list, or what A is usually like, what kind of post he likes, so that we can take a look on his add favorite table. We can do some data analysis on top of that, right? So I want to bring users information also. So in order to bring users information, what we saw early, that is foreign key and users on delete equal to models cascade. Sorry, I don't want to cascade. Instead, I want to do set null, and null equal to true, and blank equal to true. Okay. Also, I want to see, I want to have an option. I can choose any number of posts as in my if I like more than, if I like the users A's post or users B post, I should have an option to choose all the those two posts in my list, right? So I want to have an option. I should have an option to choose all the posts. So I should go with many to many. I'm doing many to many field. And since I want to see the post, so I can simply inherit from post model. Not inherit, it's kind of, we have to use that post model itself, right? And now let's play around with this. Okay, if since we changed something, we added the new data model, new model. So obviously we have to add in our admin register. Since we added new model, we have to do the migration and migrate. And I should see, but if you take post model, we have only one right now, right? But after the migration, if I refresh my tree, what I'm seeing, blog post, blog add favorite, which is this one. Also one more mapping table called add favorite post, right? So that is going to be our mapping table. Let's take a look now. If I go back to my blog, I should run my server. If I run my page, go back to my post, let's create a new post called block1 and category Django and author is admin. Let's save and create one more block called block2 and Node.js this time let's choose admin again. So we created two posts and these two posts belongs to admin user. Now I want to add my favorite. Let's say this time admin posted something. Admin posted two posts, but just assume as this time test user logged into our website and he liked admin post, so he want to add admin post in his favorite list so that he can revisit later, right? So in order to do that, I'm just assuming test user is already logged in my website, a blog website, and he saw the admin post, like he was seeing blog 1 and blog 2 post, and he liked blog 1 and he added in his add to favorite list. If I save this, now test user added his favorite post posted by admin in his list, right? So that think about situation. Once he logged in, right? Test user logged in our blog website. We can simply differentiate some heart symbol in the post wherever he liked, right? Wherever he added his favorite post, we can simply highlighted those posts in red color or some heart symbol so that he will able to differentiate, hey, this post I already added in my favorite list, right? In order to pick that list from backend, this really help us to get the data from database and show in a hot symbol red color differentiation between the normal post with the add to favorite post in a Ajax call. So that is a real time example situation you guys might think how we can implement the many to many itself, how we can use that. Okay, let's take a look on the blog. So let's start from blog add favorite. I'm just checking my mapping tables directly. So blog add favorite, not favorites, favorite post. If you see, I added one favorite that belongs to admin, but still this belongs to test user. There's no correlation, right? We'll see. Okay, I hope it little bit will get little bit clarity on how the many to many data will looks like in database and how we can come up with an actual requirement, how we can correlate it with whether we can take a decision many to many field is required or not in this scenario or not. Okay, now let's talk about how we can access this data in Django itself, right? So you might require to read this information as I mentioned, right? We have to show the differentiation between the test user, whatever the post he added in a favorite list, we have to differentiate in different color than the normal post. So obviously we have to read this data from the view database, and in Django template we have to render in different format or different color, right? In order to handle this stuff, we need to go with a Django out of the box logic or method to read the data from database and show and rendering the data back to the front end. right? So we're gonna walk through this document about the many-to-many relationship, how we can create, how we can select, how we can filter, how we can manipulate the data in the Django itself, as part of this, as part of the Django view perspective. But as of now, we don't have a view or we don't have a template in place. But Django has a inbuilt option called Django Shell, where we can play around or where we can mimic all our actual development code in the view, right? We can mimic the same thing in Django Shell. Okay, so in order to do in Django Shell, what we have to do is we have to basically Python manage by shell. Okay, now I want to bring all my uh, models, right? So I'm from a blog app dot models import post model, and I want to bring add favorite model also. Along with that, I want to bring users information also. Contrib auth dot models import user. Okay, so now if you if you see this documentation of Django Shell, how they started here is they are giving some example how to create the create the object, how to save the object, how we can call the many-to-many field object, all those stuff. So what I'm going to do is let's create the post object. So P1 post. Pretty much gonna use all this example, whatever they're given as a reference, and trying to implement with our blog app itself. So that along it's the only uh, options available. No, Django has many, but this is has with a high level, right? Once we started building our actual project, we will come up with more scenario. We might need more complex SQL. Then we will start building the stuff. But as far as this many-to-many field tutorial concern, we'll stick with this reference of what they were given here. Okay, I'm going to create a new post. So post model required title. So I'm going to give title equal to new title. And what else is these are not mandatory, and these are not mandatory, and these are not mandatory, but this is mandatory because these are auto now and default. Category doesn't have default. So category equal to I want to go with Django. So D. And what else? Author. Author is a foreign key, right? So author equal to I'm already importing from user, right? So I can simply pass user objects dot get id equal to 1. If I check, I can see the new post, but is the post available in Django database? No. Reason is we have to save. P1 save. If I save, if I refresh back, then sing new title, right? Super simple. Okay, so we created a post. Now they are talking about the article publication here. Now let's talk about having the author or add to favorite, right? So if I want to create a add to favorite, right? So what we can do, let's try to create, because we don't have a individual column. We have only form key and many-to-many field. Let's take a look at favorite. And what is my author? Okay, my author, I can, or instead of typing, you can say u1 equal to user dot objects dot get id equal to 1. I know why I gave us id equal to 1. I want to fetch only for admin. I know id 1 is equal for admin. If I check, u1 is admin. Now, if I try to create add to favorite and my author equal to u1 and my post. So this post, I can choose as many posts, right? Let's stick with P1. We already created P1, right? Let's stick with P1. Positional arguments we cannot give. So what you're seeing is we cannot pass many-to-many field like this argument. So what we have to do is we can get rid of this. If I enter, it created add to favorite. Let's take a look on the admin page whether it's created or not. No, not yet. Okay, then how can I add my post, the new post which I created P1 to this add to favorite list for this admin user? That is simple. I can type a1 dot add favorite, I believe, dot add and P1. If you take a look, oh, sorry, this is not our this is not a we should not give a model name, right? Rather we have to provide a field name. So A1, what is the field name? Post, right? So post dot add. So this is syntax, guys. So the object instance post, which is our field type, and add is a method, and we have to pass the P1 object, which is the title. None type many-to-many before. What does it mean if I say title is there? Do I have to save before? Now if I try to add post dot add P1, what we're seeing, that is what given in the document. In order to save, in order to add the new post to your favorite models, then you have to save first, right? We have to save, though we haven't provided our many-to-many field value, but this is the process to add the new many-to-many values itself to the existing object. So let me create another title. So P2, you can little bit scroll up, you can get P1. So I'm gonna name it as P2 object instance. Name this called title 2. So if I P2 dot save, created two stuff. I can take a look on my post. Here I can see two post new objects. Now I already have A1 object which is related to add favorite model and which has post 1 title, right? If I take a look add to favorite, this is the one we created. And if you see, it have admin and new title. Now I want to add new title to also this part of admin user. What does it mean in real situation is admin liked to post, right? That is the actual meaning of this many-to-many field, this concept itself. So I can simply say a1 dot post, which is our field name, dot method add what is called, we have to pass which one, p2, right? If I pass p2, and I should see two selection, right? That is super cool. This is where how we can retrieve the data or create or adding the data to the many-to-many field in views or anything. Okay, is there any option where I can create all these two statements in a single line? When I say two statement, creating a post and adding the post to the model in a single line. Yes, that's what I given here. Using that create method, what we can do is let's have object called a2. A2, let's bring back our a2 here. A2. Now A2 have the admin user ID, right? So A2 dot save. So obviously you have to save before you add anything. Make sure guys, this little confused when compared to foreign key object with our other actual creation than Django many-to-many creation, little different. So please make sure once you created the object, make sure to save and then try to add. So now I want to create the title, so create the post, and then I want to add the post to the data model, that add to favorite model, right? That's what it's saying. So here I would say new favorite equal to what we called a2 post, that is our field name post dot create. Instead of add, we have to create, and what else, this related to this title. So we can create title equal to new title 3 and category equal to Django, and my author, these are my required field I have to provide. That's what I'm giving. My username is u1. If I type, wow, new, if I, what I saying, new title 3. If I go back to my post object, I should see new title 3. Also, I should see new favorite, right? So both the statement in a single line using create statement or create method. I hope it will get a little bit clarity on how to create the post and how to add that post to give a add to favorite models. Okay, and what else? And what is the option to get all the relevant information about the post itself? We have already A1 post, right? That is about the favorite 2 object. Add to favorite, this has 2 title, 2 post. We have this user has been selected in his list. So if I type a1 dot post dot all, it will provide the query set in the list format we can, using this format, we can have in our for loop in our Jinja template, right? And we can make sure, hey, whenever admin logged into the web or blog website, whatever the post he choose as a add to favorite showed in different color. So we can do all this stuff in Ajax or JavaScript in our front end template itself. So that is where this all required to fetch all the relevant information about the admin for this add to favorite model itself. I hope you can correlate it with real-time situation, real-time example. We'll see in future with a new end-to-end project, all this stuff. Okay, and what is all about set? Okay, now using A1, I can using my add to favorite object list, I can able to traverse back to get all my title of the post. And what if I want to see all my add to favorite list about for the given user? What does it mean is I want to traverse from post to here. Then we already saw this method using underscore set concept in foreign key itself, right? So pretty much same thing. For example, if I want to travel, let's say P3, P3 equal to post dot objects, I want to get what to say? I want to get all my admin related post also and his favorite list, right? So I can simply type U1, I believe. It written one, show it written more many type, right? So I don't want to do in this manner. Rather, what we can do is it using the previous object, right? So we created already one object for admin. So I can use p1 dot in order to access my many-to-many field here. I can traverse using the model name itself. That's what they're given, model name. So what I have to do is add favorite, that is my model list, everything in small letter, set dot all. What we're seeing, we are getting all my admin related post and his favorite list for this post. So this way you can fetch all the information. Also, you can also maybe if you want to play around with your situation, you can take this as an example. I want to know how many favorite list added by admin. So maybe you can think of this as something for time pass. You can take this as an example, and you can come up with and your code. Maybe you can post in the comment section. I can take a look. I will review it in case if I found anything wrong, I will let you know guys what is the different approach. So basically I want to traverse from user model to add to favorite model. Whatever we did is we travel from post model to add favorite model, but I want to travel from user model to add to favorite model. That you can try something from your end and let me know the code in the comment section, guys. And And what else? Okay, I want to fetch some particular information from this model to post. Yes, I can do that. Like, let's say add favorite dot objects dot get or filter, because it will be a little more record filter. It's called post id underscore id. Basically, I want to fetch the id first title. So id equal to 1. If I read, I'm getting all the post which is tagged by the title 1. So blog 1. What does it mean is, if I go back to my add favorite list, this has only my block 1 title, right? So that is the difference. What if I want to have my 1 2 3 4 5 sixth id, sixth post, and type 6, there's no query set, 5, so 3, right? Object favorite 3. If we go back, add favorite 3, it belongs to new title 3. What is id 5, right? id 5 is nothing but your post id. Super simple, right? Or you can do something like this. Instead of post title starts with like new, and you can enter. It will return all the post will start with the letter, start with the word new. So this is also other way we can play around with that option. That's all about filters here. And sometimes you want to know about the count of that object. Yes, how many posts belongs to this title? 3. And how many, if you want to distinct record of the post, you can get that stuff. All this about the what are we are seeing. This is the one start with we tested, right? And if you want to delete, yes, what is P1? P1 is my new title. If I delete my P1, delete, I have to run friends. So it deleted the new title. If I go back to my, it's deleted the title which we have created, right? The block which we have created. So this is the way we can delete the post also. And yeah, this is also this is something we already saw in previous video about foreign key relationship, everything. You can go through this document, guys. We covered all the stuff as far as the model concern, ManyToMany Field concern. But in case if you want know more about all this query in detail, hopefully this should give an better idea to play around with this. Okay, so with this, we are ending this video. Hopefully this should give better understanding of ManyToMany Field part 1. We'll talk about part 2 about the other pending items. Okay, we'll see you next video.